A 17-inch raised bed does not automatically give you 17 inches of root space. And in a lot of gardens, the number you think you have isn't even close to the number plants are actually using. Most gardeners plan raised beds based on wall height. 12 inches, 17 inches. Taller must be better, right? But plants don't care how tall the sides of your bed are. They respond to usable root depth. And usable root depth is how far roots can grow before they hit resistance, compaction, or oxygen loss. And here's the part most people miss. That depth is almost never the same height as the bed. There are a few very common scenarios that limit usable root depth in real gardens, and most gardeners don't realize which one they're dealing with because you don't see it from the surface. Scenario 1 would be compacted native soil. In a lot of backyards, the native soil underneath a raised bed isn't really soil at all. It's construction fill, it's heavy clay, it's been compacted by equipment or foot traffic or just years of sitting unused. Or maybe it's what I used to have, a concrete slab. So even if the soil inside the bed looks loose and healthy, roots hit a dense layer underneath and stop. And from the surface, the plant looks fine, but underground, the root system is shallow and compressed. And that limits how much water the plants can access and how many nutrients it can pull up, and how resilient it's going to be during hot or dry spells. Another really common problem is artificial barriers between the raised bed and the native soil. And that could be cardboard, landscape fabric, gopher wire. These are often added with good intentions, but many of them don't break down evenly and roots treat them like a wall. Long-rooted crops like carrots simply don't have the depth they need to grow. So instead of transitioning smoothly into deeper soil, roots spread sideways, they can circle around, and they can stall. And that creates a shallow, unstable root system. Roots don't just need depth, they need oxygen. And in soil with bad drainage, water fills in the pore space, and oxygen disappears, and roots stop growing downward. And this is especially common in clay-heavy soils or areas with a high water table. From above, in the beginning especially, everything can look normal, but below the surface, roots are confined to a thin, oxygenated layer near the top of the bed. Another situation that limits usable root depth is what's inside the bed, not underneath it. A lot of taller raised beds are partially filled with large organic material. This saves on the cost of filling the entire bed with good raised bed mix. It's a fantastic idea, but can cause problems if not done correctly. Hügelculture involves filling the bottom of the bed with organic material that can break down over time into nice compost, great for raised beds. Logs, branches, sticks, wood chips, coarse debris, even kitchen scraps can be used. And early on, this can work fine, especially for shallow-rooted crops. But here's the part that most gardeners don't plan for. That material doesn't act like soil until it's broken down. Hügelculture changes year by year. At first, the wood takes up space, but provides little structure for roots. And later, as it breaks down, the bed settles, sometimes dramatically. That means your usable depth is inconsistent. And if you're not topping up aggressively with new compost on top, a bed that started deep can end up much shallower than you planned. Now hear me when I say this. If the bottom half of your bed isn't really soil yet, your bed isn't really that deep yet. So if you're using the Hügelculture method, a good rule of thumb is leaving 12 to 15 inches of good compost or raised bed mix at the very top for roots of all types to spread through. Now below that can be a layer of smaller pieces of compostable organic matter like kitchen scraps, wood chips, straw. And below that, a little coarser, like twigs and small branches. And below that, a layer you can move into large branches, even logs, for really deep beds. Most gardeners assume usable root depth is a fixed number, but it isn't. It depends on what's underneath the bed, what's blocking roots, how water moves through the bed, and how the system changes over time. And until you understand which scenario you're dealing with, choosing a bed height is basically guesswork. And once you see these scenarios clearly, one rule starts to make sense. If the soil underneath your bed is compacted, you get less root space than the height suggests. If the soil underneath your bed is good, you can actually get more root space than the bed height suggests. This is where gardeners get frustrated. Plants look healthy, they grow tall, they leaf out, but a little later in the season, yields are disappointing, fruit is smaller, production drops off early. It's not the fertilizer, and it's not the variety, it's root confinement. Tomatoes are labeled deep-rooted plants for a reason. For peak production, they want 12 to 18 inches of loose, oxygenated soil. When they don't get it, they adapt, not in a good way. You get big plants, but you get fewer flowers, smaller fruit, and earlier burnout. It's one of the reasons why people say my tomato plants were huge, but they didn't produce. The plant wasn't wrong, the planning was. Peppers need slightly less depth, but still more than really shallow beds provide. Leafy greens, on the other hand, are forgiving. They'll grow in 6 to 8 inches, which is why shallow beds appear to work at first. And root crops make the problem obvious. Forked carrots, short beets, misshapen roots, that's roots hitting resistance and stopping. In my old garden back here, before we took the beds out, the beds were only about 6 inches deep with gopher wire below. So the native soil below them was great. So smaller roots could easily get through the gopher wire and keep growing and supporting the plants above. Carrots and things like that, I had issue with. I had to grow really short ones. And I had to be meticulous at keeping the bed topped up twice a year. The other issue was anchoring structures. I didn't have enough depth to push stakes in properly or anchor TP poles. When your bed's too shallow, vertical supports don't just wobble, they fail. They would tip over with the smallest breeze. So depth isn't just about roots, it's about everything that needs to be in that bed. Now, to be clear, an 11-inch bed can absolutely work. 11 inches is enough for most carrots, it's enough for TP poles, it's enough for a lot of crops. As long as that depth is actually usable, remember these things. You don't choose bed height first. You choose required root depth first. Then you decide how to achieve it. You can improve the soil underneath, increase bed height and make sure that height is filled with good quality material, or plant crops that match the depth you actually have. That's real planning. So you think about all that, and I will think about all of that. If you want to see what decision I come up with, as well as watching this garden and all my other gardens get built and grow and develop, we document all of that on our second channel, The Gardens at SkyRidge. I'll leave a link below. And if you want to learn how to build a super affordable raised bed, click on this video right here, and I'll see you next time.